Imagine this: a man who smiles at the camera, blending into the crowd, yet has dozens of lives buried under his name. Another who walked away from his crime so cleanly that police never got close. And some who simply vanished, swallowed by the night, leaving only blood, whispers, and nightmares behind. Serial killers are supposed to be caught. They're supposed to face trial, locked away, executed, or at least identified. But what happens when monsters slip through the cracks of justice, when predators simply vanish, as if mocking the world, daring us to remember them? Tonight, we're diving into the shadows of history's most chilling cases. 5 serial killers who were never brought to justice. Some still haunt unsolved files. Some became urban legends. And some may still be out there. Stay close, because once you hear their stories, you may never sleep the same again. San Francisco, 1968. Lovers parked in quiet cars. Joggers passing through lonely trails. Ordinary nights shattered by gunfire and knives. A faceless figure stalked the streets, hiding behind cryptic letters, strange symbols, and a mocking laugh written on paper. The Zodiac Killer wasn't just a murderer. He was a puppeteer, playing with police, the press, and the public like they were part of his twisted game. He mailed taunts to newspapers, filled with codes and puzzles. Some cracked, some still unsolved. One letter boasted, "I like killing people because it's so much fun." 5 confirmed victims, perhaps dozens more. He killed couples, lone drivers, anyone unlucky enough to cross his path. Each crime was different. Gunshots in the dark, stabbing frenzies by a lake, even a man in a bizarre hood marked with a white cross circle symbol. Despite thousands of suspects, endless investigations, and modern DNA testing, the Zodiac was never caught. He just vanished. And here's the nightmare he promised in his letters, that he would keep killing, blending into society, maybe even watching the news about himself while sipping coffee like an ordinary man. To this day, his identity remains one of America's darkest mysteries. Was he a disgruntled schoolteacher, a military man, a drifter, or someone still alive, quietly smirking that he outsmarted everyone? The Zodiac reminds us, sometimes evil doesn't wear chains. Sometimes it wears a smile and walks free. London, 1888. A thick fog rolls across Whitechapel. Gas lamps flicker in the damp air. The city sleeps uneasily, while in the dark alleys, a monster hunts. 5 women, brutally mutilated. Their throats cut with surgical precision. Their bodies left like grotesque warnings to the world. The killer's name? A cruel joke scrawled in a taunting letter: Jack the Ripper. What made Jack so terrifying wasn't just the brutality, it was the surgical skill. Was he a doctor? A butcher? A deranged aristocrat? Each theory fueled paranoia in Victorian London. Police patrolled the cobblestones, newspapers screamed headlines, and still, the killings continued. And then, just as suddenly as he appeared, Jack vanished. No arrest, no trial, only endless theories. Some say he fled abroad. Some believe he was a local respected man, someone no one would ever suspect. Over 130 years later, Jack the Ripper remains the world's most infamous phantom killer. His crimes didn't just take lives. They created a blueprint of fear, showing that sometimes the most horrifying killers are never punished because they're never caught. Now, let's step into the chilling world of South America. In the 1970s and 80s, children began disappearing across Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. Hundreds at first, then thousands. It seemed impossible until authorities caught a man named Pedro Lopez. He confessed to strangling more than 300 young girls. Yes, you heard that right, 300. He even took police to mass graves where dozens of tiny bodies lay buried. His nickname became legendary, the Monster of the Andes. But here's the most disturbing part. After serving just 14 years in prison, Lopez was released in 1998 and vanished. Just disappeared into thin air. To this day, no one knows where he is. Some say he was rearrested and released again. Others claim he slipped into Colombia, starting fresh. If his confessions were true, he may be the most prolific serial killer in history, and he's still free. Think about that. Right now, while you're watching this, a man who admitted to murdering 300 children might still be alive, walking past people in a crowd, faceless and forgotten. Justice never touched him, and maybe it never will. Glasgow, Scotland, late 1960s. 3 women murdered after nights out at a dance hall. Their bodies left in grim settings, strangled with their own stockings. The press gave the killer a haunting name, Bible John. Witnesses described him as charming, well-dressed, quoting scripture before luring women away. His polite mask concealed a predator. Police interviewed thousands of men, searched the city, even linked the crimes to another famous Scottish serial killer. But Bible John slipped away, his identity never confirmed. To this day, theories swirl. Was he a religious fanatic? A soldier? A respected businessman with a dark side? His killings stopped as suddenly as they began, leaving 3 families broken and a city whispering that a monster once walked among them. And now, the modern shadow. For over a decade, the shores of Long Island, New York, have hidden a sinister truth. At least 11 bodies, mostly women, many connected to the sex trade, have been discovered along Gilgo Beach. The killer became known as the Long Island Serial Killer, or LISK. The pattern? Victims lured through online ads, their bodies carefully disposed of in marshy sand dunes. Police believe the killer is organized, intelligent, possibly even law enforcement. Years passed. Families begged for justice. Tips dried up. And still, the killer walked free. In 2023, after years of frustration, authorities finally arrested a suspect, Rex Heuermann. But here's the catch. Even if he's guilty of some, the rest remain unsolved. The Long Island serial killer may not be one person, but many, meaning at least one or more predators are still out there. 5 killers. 5 shadows that slipped through the cracks of justice. The Zodiac, Jack the Ripper, Pedro Lopez, Bible John, the Long Island Phantom. Their names became legends of horror not because of what they did alone, but because they were never truly caught. Their freedom is a reminder that justice isn't always guaranteed, that sometimes evil doesn't face punishment. And maybe that's the most terrifying truth of all. So tell me, which one of these killers keeps you awake at night? The Ripper in the fog? The Zodiac laughing in letters? Or Lopez, maybe still walking among us? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, next time you look over your shoulder in the dark, sometimes the monster isn't in your imagination. It's real. And sometimes it never gets caught.